having me back. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're live. It says it's been okay. We're live now, and it should be playing the intro, and it does. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I'm really excited about my guest today. I just want to say today's guest is, I've talked about this before, someone who's been my friend for like 4 years in podcasting. I think me and Karen both started following each other, relatively when we first got started in this. And we were both big fans of Chris Matthews' Forbidden Knowledge News. And now we both do shows with Chris, from time to time, so which is pretty interesting how we've all developed. But yeah, Karen has been a great friend to me over the years, and I'm really excited to have her back on the show today. And I did a little intro. I said, today on the Typical Skeptic Podcast, I'm joined by Karen Holton, author of Transdimensional, The New Neighbours. Karen's groundbreaking book dives deep into her personal experiences with transdimensional beings, shedding light on who they are, why they're here, and how humanity fits into a much bigger multidimensional picture. We'll be discussing ET contact, interdimensional realities, expanded consciousness, and how to navigate these transformational times. We're also going to be discussing neurodivergence and autism and how this ties into this subject today. And a short bio for Karen Holton. Karen Holton is an experiencer, channeler, and author who specializes in expanded awareness, off-world contact, and vibrational empowerment. She's also a health coach as well. Her book, Transdimensional, The New Neighbours, offers insight into look into the multidimensional communication and humanity's evolving relationship with benevolent ET beings. Karen also shares tools for personal ascension and has a YouTube channel where she covers topics like higher consciousness, ETs, and hidden truths. And you can check out her website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. And I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Karen, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
Rob, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. And I have to tell you, I admire you and the work you do so much, bringing so much information to people. You're one of my favorite friends, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah. I feel the same about you. I think it's so cool that we can look back and I still have those videos from 4 years ago. When we first started off in this, and it was interesting. It really was to see how things have changed, and it's fascinating actually. But anyway, how are you? What's new? What were you going to get into today?
Oh my God. I have such an amazing true life adventure for you today and for your audience, Rob. I'm telling you, honest to God, guys, I am nobody special. I have no idea, although I'm starting to understand why, but I have these transdimensional experiences, and they're absolutely real. They're profound. They changed my life forever. And I recently, as Rob said, I published my book. I actually have two books. I have also Transdimensional #2, Meet the Greys picture book, as well as my original, which talks about my ET experiences. So in my book, I tell you, I'm not exactly sure how this was possible for me, but more recently, I had a revelation, and I want to tell you about it. Rob, do you want to ask me anything before I get into what happened just beginning of April this year?
No, good. I'm excited for it. Yeah.
Okay, so as you all know, or most of you know, I have these transdimensional experiences. They always happen while I'm asleep in my dream state. They're very, very different than dreams. Dreams don't make a lot of sense. They're disjointed. I don't always remember them. Clearly, I know when I'm having a dream. But when I'm having a transdimensional experience, I'm actually go someplace, meet beings, often they're NHI or non-human intelligences. I call them ETs, but you can, well, sometimes angelics, you can call them what you want. I get taught the most amazing things. And I often wake up exhausted because it because I've been so active all night long, and it's very different than a dream state. Very, very different. And some of the examples are I've been to other dimensional realities where they actually know about my show and my channels, and they actually watch my stuff. I have no idea how. I didn't get that far with them. And I actually, the woman who owned the shop where I was, she actually had a goal, and I got to meet and see a golem for the first time in my life. I didn't even know what a golem was. The next morning, I looked it up. I went, oh my God, that was a golem. She was right. I've had other experiences where I've been to other dimensional realities where I could see my life and the goings on planet Earth, but they couldn't see me. And it was very interesting because I wasn't hindered by time or space. So I've had all these experiences, and also enough experiences that I was able to write my book, Transdimensional, Meet the New Neighbors, so that I could, in effect, when you read the book, take you along with me into my experience just to see how amazing it is. So anyway, I do my second book, and it's basically a book to help reduce fear around the grays, because I do believe they're here and they're going to make themselves known. And it's important for us to stay grounded and be able to use our critical thinking skills and not get too freaked out, so that we can deal with this change in reality. So anyway, speeding forward to April the 2nd, in the middle of the night, so it would have been like April 1st to April 2nd during the nighttime, I had another transdimensional experience. And it was super interesting. I don't exactly remember the being that was teaching me or the entity, but it was all about autism. It was all about that it is completely different than what people think it is. The whole medical model, the whole 3D model that we've been making assumptions about autistic people, and actually anybody on the spectrum. It could include those of you who are ADHD and all different manifestations of the same thing. And I was being taught this really important lesson, and I had to tell people about it. I actually woke up to go pee, and I'm going, oh my God, this is really important. This is really, really important. And I started thinking a little bit about it. I went back to sleep and I had some more training. And the next day, I'm on Facebook, and I'm flipping through, scrolling through Facebook, and here it turns out April 2nd here in Canada was Autism Awareness Day. And then I found out that in many places of the world, it was actually Autism Awareness Week or month. And I thought, what is the coincidence that I would have this transdimensional teaching and training? It would happen to be on autism awareness. And then the other part of this puzzle that I want to tell people is I myself am on the autism spectrum, and I kind of hide it when I'm doing my shows. I don't know if I can hide it that well, but basically I'm definitely on the spectrum, and it presents many challenges in my life, but I don't normally talk about it. You see, I'm an older person, and autism was only recognized more in modern times and also amongst males and not females. So when I was a child, we were brutally socialized to hide the way we are and to pretend to be somebody else and someone more normal. And it's exhausting and it's really horrible. And I've come to terms with the fact that I'm going to start coming out and letting people know that I'm autistic. Not to brag about it, but just that there's nothing to be ashamed of. And there's many of us on the spectrum, many, many, many of us on the spectrum.
Yeah. How do you know? Did you, I mean, is there like tests you can take that, like,
yes.
I mean, I'm guessing there's online, right?
Yeah, you can be diagnosed by a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but you can also do testing online, and you can also self-diagnose. There's tons of information out there, and but the thing is at least what I always wanted to do was to not buy into that it's a disorder. I don't believe that. Like, I do understand different, but the term actually for all of us is we're neurodivergent, which means that we're wired differently than so-called normal people. And the
Yeah.
other thing in my experience, my autism experiences, is that it's kind of like having one foot in another realm and one foot in the three-dimensional realm. And so it's kind of like a struggle to be in the here and now and in the 3D. And it's easy for me to drift over that line and to be in other realms. And I think that's why I'm able to have transdimensional experiences. So anyway, this, I got to tell you, this is just, I'm just getting started with the story. It's really interesting. So then the day after that, I wrote down my, as much as I could remember in a notebook, pages and pages and pages about, and the main thing is that autism is not a disorder. It has huge challenges for some more than others, depending on where you are on the spectrum. And it's not easy to fit into our three-dimensional reality as it's been constructed, and so it does definitely presents its issues, but it gives us so many gifts. So like, I was really excited, and I was definitely told to talk about it. And so I thought, well, it's time to come out of the closet, Karen, and don't be shy about admitting the way I am, because there's nothing wrong with me. In fact, in some ways, I'm have this amazing life, this amazing paranormal transdimensional life. And so anyway, then this is weird. Okay, so I had heard about a series called the Telepathy Tapes, and I had never listened to the podcast. I sort of heard a little bit about it, about people who are nonverbal, that are more severely what we would call autistic or neurodivergent, and how they have these telepathic abilities. And I thought, gee, that's interesting. I'm going to watch it. So I started, well, listening. Actually, it's an audio podcast. So on the day after I made all my notes, then I listened to season 1, episode 1, and it blew my mind. And
Was
then
this
I
the
watched,
telepathy groups, Karen? Was it?
yes, yeah, by Kai Dickens. So if those of you haven't seen the whole first season, I highly recommend it. Watch every one, because each one builds on the information previous. And and then she has another series out called the Telepathy Talks. So in the next week, I started listening to her podcast, and I went, oh my God, this explains a lot. So they not only found out that basically everybody who's neurodivergent has the gift of paranormal and insights and all kinds of stuff. But the catch is, if you want to communicate telepathically with us, you have to believe it's possible, and you have to believe in us. If you don't believe in it, it won't never happen. It's very interesting how belief plays a major role in this. So here I am watching all this, and or listening to all this, and I'm realizing that there are a lot of people on the spectrum, or neurodivergent individuals, who have a couple of things. They're not just telepathic. They have two other phenomena that is very interesting. One is they can go to a place they call the hill. And what the hill is it's basically like chat rooms that are telepathic, where they can meet and communicate freely, where they have no impediments. They can talk to each other, they can understand each other, they train each other, they teach each other languages and all kinds of stuff. But most importantly, they give support to each other. And because in our three-dimensional world, people think they're not there, they're not home, but they absolutely are at home. They're completely aware and telepathic. So they're often able to pick up everything their parents are thinking, their teachers. So then it turns out that there's another thing that happens for many of them, and it's called night school, where at night while they're asleep, they're in school and training, and they wake exhausted. And I went, oh my God, that happens to me all the time. And I was like so shocked to hear that this was a thing, because quite honestly, Rob and your audience, sometimes I wonder if I'm crazy. How could all of this be happening to me? And I don't hear hardly anybody else talking about it, right? So
Yeah.
then I found out that animals are telepathic through this, listening to this series. Found out that animals are telepathic, and that's why there's animal communicators. And I found out that the whole reality we live in is completely different than what we think it is. And the people who are what we would call normal, they're the people with the disability, because they're missing these amazing, amazing gifts. So that was such great confirmation for me and my book, to find all. And I don't know where it's taking me, because I understand that my gifts are not something I can just turn on and turn off. I can't do party tricks. I can't, it doesn't work like that for me. It's sort of spirit directed. And so I'm waiting to find out. All I know is I'm supposed to get on talk shows like yours and tell people about this amazing experience. So then I started thinking about the entity who shared with me the training about neurodivergence and autism. And I thought, I think it's another autistic human being. I think it's somebody who lives here on Earth. And they're not very old. They're only like 6 or 7 years old. I could tell by the crooked teeth, curly dark hair, and they're blind. You could tell they were obviously blind. Their eyes didn't work, but they were absolutely brilliant. For some reason, had reached out to me and had given me this message. So it's not like I'm the only one that's sharing this information. No, if you want someone who's an expert, go listen to the telepathy tapes. It will blow your minds. It absolutely is what I would consider essential information. But the fact that I sharing in this phenomenon is really makes me happy. I got to tell you, it makes me happy, because it so affirms everything that I've been through, and so I'm just waiting for further training instructions. Sometimes I get direction, just it's body sensation. It's not an actual language. It's symbols. Like I can telepathically receive in a whole bunch of different ways, or different combinations or layers of experiences, like emotion symbols, graphic overlays, like short videos in my mind's eye and my imagination. It can be a whole bunch of things. Sometimes it's accompanied by these high pitched frequencies. It's always different. So yeah, so that's, I thought you'd find it interesting. This all happened between April the 2nd and the 9th. It just unfolded day after day after day after day. And it was just so confirming. So I really, really feel just reclaimed. And also, I really want everybody to go to the telepathy tapes and just listen for yourselves. And then Kai Dickens, the creator of the telepathy tapes, is also working on a on a documentary, and she's trying to raise funds. Get this, she's trying to raise funds because now that she knows that these nonverbal autistic people have basically savant skills. They have mad skills. They're so brilliant. It's so opposite to how they've been treated and thought of as basically, pardon the expression, being retarded. They're not at all. Now she wants to make it so that find ways that they can communicate with the so-called normal or neurotypical world, and give them jobs creating all kinds of new math and science and ways of looking at the world and creating like 0 point energy and all these other amazing things that they know how to do. And so it could transform our world into such a better place, but also give absolute validity and paid jobs to these people who formerly society just wrote off. Anyway, I've been talking quite a bit, Rob. I'll just stop for a minute in case you have any questions that you want to ask me.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about was, do we know anything more about this place that the autistic kids go to? You said called the Hill, where they can,
Yeah.
the way, what I would say was, what I've been kind of explaining to people is, it's almost like they have like a mycelium network, right? Like
Yes.
I was telling someone this last night, actually, because someone I know has a nephew that's neurodivergent, and I was saying, I said, you got to check out the telepathy tapes, because it seems like they have like I said, like a mycelium network where they're able to communicate with each other and convey
Yeah.
message to each other telepathically. It's fascinating, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the interesting thing is, a lot of us, okay, so this is just sort of a side thing here. A lot of us are now becoming aware that the government are using psionic people to contact non-human intelligences and getting them to bring their craft into our three-dimensional reality, and then they're shooting them with these sound or energy weapons, bringing them down and capturing them, and all this kind of scary stuff is going on. And so I was worried that they were using autistic people and perhaps could infiltrate the Hill. And this concern too, but they don't need to get a load of this. The Hill is divinely protected. Only people with the right heart and mind condition can get to the Hill. And normal people, or I shouldn't say normal, maybe neurotypical people, can also access the Hill. And there are those that are. But the secret is you have to have the best of intentions, a loving, kind heart, be able to quiet your mind. Quietening your mind is absolutely essential, because otherwise you can't receive the signals. And so meditation, this is coming back again, how important meditation is. So there are also different so-called, I'm just using the term chat rooms because it best describes for us. There are many different ones. So there are some groups, for instance, in Israel, where it's all Israeli children and neurodivergent adults who go to that chat room. There's other chat rooms, and you can even just have a chat room with someone that you connect with that maybe lives on the other side of the world. It's amazing. But the one thing that's really important and really cool is that these are divinely protected. So it means nefarious people or people with a hidden agenda or any of that can't get in. And that corresponds beautifully to what I talk about in my book, where I talk about how the ETs that I met are all means is that they don't hide anything. There's nothing hidden. What you sense is what you get. There's no deception. It's absolutely real and honest communication. And I'm just so excited that I found pieces of the puzzle that make more sense of my own experiences and validate what I'm going through. And hopefully we can help the whole world shift here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. My screen was freezing up, but I was gonna see. And guys, this is an open dialogue. So if you guys have questions, because I see a lot of people are sharing some really interesting stuff in the chat. So share your questions with us, and we'll get to your questions. If you have questions for Karen about transdimensional contact, or what we're talking about with neurodivergence and autism, or if you want to know like how they connect, let's talk about that, Karen. Do you feel like the neurodivergence connects to the transdimensional contact? Do you feel like these kids are having experiences in other dimensions and stuff like that?
Absolutely. That's what the Hill is. The Hill is a different dimensional reality or a different realm. And it may be more frequency related than physical. And it absolutely is. And so it is not uncommon. They go to what they call night school, and sometimes they're exhausted in the morning because they've been at night school all night. And I get that because a lot of my transdimensional experiences happen to me while I'm asleep at night, and they're exhausting because there's so much information coming in, and sooner or later you go learning. And so I just absolutely, it is all transdimensional, and we are meant to be transdimensional, but we've been programmed to believe that this is fairy tale and science fiction and that this isn't real, because it's a great threat to the nefarious powers that be here on earth. We won't need them anymore. We already don't need them, but it's going to become even more and more evident that we don't need the construct as it's been created to basically suppress us, our freedom, our happiness, our joy, and our absolutely God-given abilities that are paranormal, transdimensional slash telepathic. It's all part lucid dreaming, remote viewing, astral projection. It's all part of the same package. That's our birthright, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. And I was putting that comment up on the screen because somebody from your chat asked what my new channel was, and I said I don't think I'm able to type to your chat, but I can tell them it's YouTube at TruthSeeker5197. It's real easy, guys. It's at TruthSeeker, and you'll see it's Typical Skeptic Podcast 2.0, and it's a challenge, building back up. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have people like you on, Karen, that these make these shows like really interesting, so it's like I really appreciate you coming on, and the audience loves you, so like,
Thank you. And I love you. I love everybody. I love your audience as well. I wanted to say that in the description below this live on my channel is all the links, and to Rob, everything that Rob does, all his links to, so you can find his channel and subscribe to it, and buy his merch and do everything you can to support him so that he can keep doing what he's doing, because it's so important.
Yeah, and you have a new book out, Karen. Like you didn't talk about that much, but you have the part 2 to your book, which is, did that just come out? The Greys. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Now, these are author copies. So when you buy them on Amazon, you won't see this band across the middle. But this is my second book, and it's called Transdimensional 2 Meet the Greys picture book. And again, remember I told you I have this night school, I have these beings that tell me, Karen, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I just do as I'm told, because I always trust these sources, for lack of a better term. So anyway, I was directed to put together a book because people are afraid of the Greys, and part of that is propaganda, but part of it is just our knee-jerk reaction when we see beings that look different than us. It's normal to be afraid, but when we're afraid, then our critical thinking skills shut down, and when we're afraid, it's easy to control us. And so that's why I thought it was so important to write this book. So I start off in chapter 1 talking about my own experiences with ETs, basically what they look like, what they're like, and my experience with a character I call Bob the Gray, who is a Gray who I'm in contact with, who helps me. And how he helps me is he helps to release my memories from my extraterrestrial experiences, but he also helps me, like, it's like he can boost my ability to astral project and astral travel. And he assists me so that I can be more than what I would be on my own. So that's chapter 1. Chapter 2, I have some friends of mine who each contributed. I don't know if you can see that, who each contributed sections to chapter 2. So I have Dolly Saffron, and she wrote a bit about her experience with the tall Greys. And I have Preston Dennett. A lot of you are familiar with Preston Dennett. He's He's been a long time MUFON investigator, and he's an author of over 30 books. And his experience and understanding of the Greys. I have Nancy Thames, who has lifelong contact with the Greys. Philip Kinsella and Ronald Kinsella, they're twins out of England, who have both had childhood abduction experiences, and they've become lifelong investigators and researchers, and they've come to understand what they experienced as children quite differently over time. And of course, all their contact information is in here, and some of them, their books they've published. I have Elsa Dillon. You've probably had her on your show, and she wrote a bit about the Greys. And then Jimmy Blanchette, this is really neat. So he started seeing. He is a scientist, and he's also a ham radio operator, and he started seeing triangles, like basically what we would call UFOs, that formed a specific kind of triangle so that he could see them. So he contacted them through his ham radios. He's got a little documentary on his channel showing how he contacted them and how they let him know through his ham radios that they were in communication with him and they had a message for him. So then he created this huge antenna system that's super powerful, and he sends messages out and bounces them off the moon or bounces them off the sun into our solar system, and that's how he communicates with ETs. And long story short, they've given him, through geometry, by the way they line up their ships in the sky as he can see them, they've given him geometry that has basically solved all the secrets of the universe through math. So he's very interesting guy. So he wrote a page as well. And then the rest of the chapters are all images, because the purpose of the book is to reduce the fear. And these images, I did not draw them or paint them, and they are not taken with a camera. They are done through AI. So I worked with AI to create images of what we would call Greys. And the Greys come from many different realities, different timelines, different dimensional realities, different universes even. And the only thing they really have in common is that their skin does not contain the pigment that would reflect light as our eyes or our visible light spectrum to us. And so they all appear to be gray, but to each other, because they're able to detect different kinds of light wavelengths and stuff, they are absolutely of color. So I've got a chapter all about the gray males. I've got a chapter that features gray females. And what they pretty much also all have in common are these really big eyes. They have eyes quite a bit bigger than ours. And that was true of my experience aboard the big ship. I also have a chapter of gray children. I've got a chapter that has this. I like these two pictures. And so the purpose is so that you can look at them and you can see kind of heart to heart that we have something in common with them. We're all of the same species. We're just different races or family lines or, different lines. And a lot of them look a lot like us. So I want people to be prepared that they could look quite a bit like these images and or different again. But the point is to not be afraid, to get used to them. So when you can flip through the book, there's over 250 full-size images. These are the hybrid children.
Wow.
Yeah, so that you can get an idea of what they might look like, and then you're not going to be terrified. You're going to go, oh yeah, I'm familiar with those are the Greys. Well, we're not sure what their agenda is, because there's quite different ones, but the mainstream media won't be able to bullshit us. They won't be able to use propaganda and use the presence of these beings to frighten us. And that's what the whole book is about. And I've got a whole section of what I call the Gray family photos, and they're quite cute. But yeah, so that's my latest book, and both my books are available in print, soft cover, and also in Kindle. And I'm trying, if I can sell enough books, I will be able to afford to have them made into Audible audiobooks. But you need to hire a voice actor, and it's quite expensive, but it's worth it in the long run. So I'm hoping to have them out on Audible. Yeah. So those are
Right,
my
your last book made it. Right, your last book made it to like number 12 in the, or was it number 2, or what was it? What was it?
No, it made it to 14, and it may have made it higher than that. It's just that I haven't really had the time to figure out the stats and know where to go, even on Amazon. I'm not that familiar with Amazon, even though I've got books published there. Some people are having trouble finding um, my books on Amazon, and new publications, and I need 15 reviews, positive reviews, before they'll start putting it out in the algorithm. But if you go on Amazon, regardless what country you're in, and you go to their directory and you select books or you select Kindle, and then you'll get a new screen that comes up with a search bar, and then you put in the name of the book and you should be able to find it. But the links are here and there and everywhere, and probably under this show as well. So and of course, on if you go to my channel, at Karen Holton, um, at Karen Holton TV on YouTube, you'll also find every video I produce also has the links there. So hopefully, and thank you, Jason, for putting it in the chat. I really, really appreciate you for
Yeah,
doing that.
I'll put it up on the screen. I was trying to. There we go. And do you have an author page on Amazon? Is it under where they can find both books? Like, is it under Karen Holton author on Amazon, and then they can find part 1 and part 2?
I don't know. To be like I gotta tell you, this has not come easy for me. It took me quite a long time to publish my first book and to finally get it up on Amazon, and I was a little intimidated by the process, and I don't have anybody to teach me how to do it, so I don't know that I can create. I think I can create an author page, but I don't know how to go about that. I don't even know how to do a search to find out where my books are, on the top 100 or 10 or whatever. I don't really know. All I know is I've just been going on shows telling people about it, and hope people buy the book. And those that have read it really, really like it. I have to tell you, people that have left me reviews so far have been super kind, super, super kind to me, and left me very favorable reviews, which helps me a lot. So yeah, I really want to get it out there, because both books, because they both serve a very important purpose in letting people know what's possible.
Yeah, and I think a big stigma is like a lot of people thinking about alien abduction, and I'm not saying there aren't negative experiences, because I do talk to people who have negative experiences, but you're talking about the more positive grays, and that
Was that
there's this.
It was absolutely a positive experience. And the book is not just about my experience, it's also everything I've learned about reality, spirituality, what's possible, how important love is, how important love is actually the only thing that really matters on this planet. And we're supposed to come here and remember that that's what's important, but we get entangled in all these other issues while we're here, and of course we all get what we call emotional damage, and that sometimes makes it hard for us to connect to our original and divine purpose. But yeah, so, and the beings aboard the big ship that I interacted with, some look like Grace, but many do not. I've got an image. Those of you who are watching this on a video, you can see the image here where, again, I used AI to create it. But on one side of me is a beautiful woman who looks very much like some of the beings aboard the big ship. And on the other side is somebody who we would readily identify as being ET. And they have all different shapes and sizes and heights and temperaments, and they're very, very different. And I get into that in great detail in my book. I also get into my experience that I had only once, where I met an angel. Actually, the angel came to me here on Earth in the 3-dimensional and helped to save my life. And I've got that experience in the book too.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah. Do you want to do some audience questions?
Sure.
I went back to the chat's whizzing by today, by the way. So there's a lot of people in between both of our, rooms. I think Facebook or YouTube's like greatly underestimates how many people are actually in here. Because the chat's like really flying by. But this first one was from JC, and he says, "Has Karen heard of John St. Julian Baba Wayana?" And there's a follow up to this. And he said he rescues children with autism from witch doctors in Tanzania. I found that interesting.
Wow, I have not heard of him, but God bless his soul, because I know what's going on in parts of Africa, and the witch doctors are sacrificing innocents. So they sacrifice children and innocence, because that is how they absorb the energy. And it's a huge, huge criminal activity and part of the global child trafficking issue that we face.
Yeah.
So no, I haven't heard of them, but that's wonderful work, really important.
Yeah. And this one's from Until the Sun Dies, and he says, question, is Karen part of the Emerald Order or the GA, Galactic Alliance, while on craft? When you're on craft, are you part of those organizations?
Yeah, really good question. Affiliated with anything. I'm not part of the Secret Space Program, the Federation of Planets, the Emerald Order, nothing. I'm not part of any politic, religion, group, association. I'm pretty much all on my own. While aboard the big ship, I learned that first of all, the big ship is what you might consider a city ship. They're huge, they're massive. I mean, I wasn't even on one of the biggest ones, and it held millions of beings, very, very large. And each city ship is kind of autonomous. They have their own reasons for being, their own objectives, their own culture. It's very exciting when we would get together with other city ships. It was like a clan gathering. And of course, always perfectly safe, because it's all telepathic. And these beings are at our next stage of development. So they're past their warring criminal ways. They're beautiful, peaceful, loving beings. But we get to meet beings from other city ships and experience their culture, their technologies, all kinds of things. So the particular big ship that I go to, it is not affiliated with any other group. In fact, a long time ago, and I'm talking thousands of years ago, because that's how old these communities, some of them are, some are even older. What they did is they got tired of being part of a federation that dealt with the world leaders on dystopian planets, and they broke away and they went rogue, and they just decided to communicate and reach humanoids that could hold the frequency. So it's an energetic contact, it's an energetic movement. And it's kind of like, and I'm just using a metaphor here, it's kind of like they are broadcasting all the time to many worlds. And then when the humanoids, like for instance, you and me, are ready, we pick up on these signals, we pick up on these transmissions. And then once we're at that level of being able to hold that kind of frequency and have that type of experience, then we can be transported either energetically or physically aboard the big ships. So the short answer is no. And but I really only experienced in detail one of the city ships, and there are probably billions out there.
Wow, that's amazing. I was seeing here. What other? Let's see. What if there's other? Uh, okay. Seeing what other questions there are. People are just talking about. I'll go to a question I had for you. So let me see here. Um, uh, okay, so like, what do you remember some of the lessons or teachings that you've brought from these transdimensional beings? Like is it always like I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Is it always like, are they trying to get us to like change our ways so humans aren't so like kind of crazy here and stuff? You know?
I would say no, yes and no. I would say the main thing is for them that they teach me, because I can only really speak to my own experiences. They teach me of what I've been missing, what's possible, what the greater reality looks like. So, for instance, one of the lessons I received, and this was not aboard the big ship, this was just a general transdimensional experience. So I was given this experience, and I sensed that I was in like a big house with many, many, many rooms, hallways between the rooms, many doors. And there were other beings that entered the house after me who were trying to find me. And I didn't want to be found. And so I kept going down these hallways and through these rooms. And then I noticed that there was like a kind of a doorway, but it wasn't really a doorway. It was more of a portal. And I climbed through it, and I went up an incline, and I ended up on the top floor of the house. So the house is a metaphor. Like when I'm being trained, it's never exactly what it is. It's given in a form that I understand and that I can relate to. It's all metaphor. So I'm on the upstairs floor. And when I'm on the upstairs floor, I can see everything on the floor below me, but they can't see me. So although they were looking for me, they couldn't find me because I was no longer in the same dimensional reality. So when we go to the next dimensional reality, we can see everything that's in the 3D, but the 3D cannot see what's going on in the next dimension. And I don't know if it's fourth or fifth or sixth. Like I'm not exactly sure how to slice it or dice it. So while I was walking around up there, I realized that there was no barriers, like there was no separate rooms and hallways. It's all very open concept. And then I realized that I could even step off of the second floor and go directly into other dimensional realities from where I was. And I was perfectly safe. Nobody could harm me. No one could touch me. These beings that were after me were just basically checking out all these rooms and hallways and closets, and they didn't know. It was like as if I had completely disappeared. And so that was to teach me about the greater reality, that what we see with our physical eyes, our hearing, our sensation of touch, it's extremely limited, very narrow band of the visible light spectrum, the auditory sound system, our electromagnetic is what our touch gives us, extremely limited. It's like we're all running around blind and deaf and numb compared to that other next level that I got to experience. So it was really was very, very exciting to learn that.
Yeah, this is one from Leah. She says that is interesting, by the way, Karen. It sounds like you've had some amazing experiences.
I really have.
Yeah, like I want to try to. It says she says, may I? Leah asked, may I ask? Do you have unity consciousness? I think she means, do they have unity consciousness? Like,
Well,
the beings, I guess.
actually, we all have unity consciousness, but the beings aboard the big ship, the beings that I've interacted with, and even I myself, we do have unity consciousness. We're all one. We're all, I mean, when you go into the spiritual realms, we're all one. And depending on the condition of our heart, the openness of our thinking, and our ability to raise our frequency, and this is not always easy for us to achieve because we live in a very deceptive reality that's got all kinds of toxins and bad food and bad entertainment and like I mentioned before, emotional damage, that we sometimes think this is all there is, or even trapped within our own minds. But that's nothing, nothing, nothing compared to the all that is. And the all that is um, can also be considered what is here on earth thought of as Holy Spirit. It's in
Yeah.
everything, it's in every way. And like the ETs, they do not believe in a particular God. They don't have religion, none of that. They are very conscious that they hold the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and we need to hold that in balance. And that we are all part of the love harmonic, and we are all part of the great all that is all there is. And I know I'm probably not making any sense, but
No,
that's
you're
sort of
making perfect
best
sense. Actually, you're making perfect sense.
best
Um,
I can put it into words. I mean, when we have these experiences, we're trying to translate them into English or our common language. We don't have the concepts, we don't have the words. So it's awkward to try to put it into terms that y'all can understand, but I'm just trying to do the best I can. My book explains it better because I had a lot of time to think about how to lay it all out there.
Bridget agrees with you. Bridget's a paranormal author as well. She doesn't use her real name in here. She says, yes, Karen, she says, the way it is here on Earth, it seems is all opposite in on other places she's seen. So it's like people have
Yeah,
also experienced this, like that it's, like, yeah, yeah, it's different, right? But I wanted to keep this under an hour because then I can put it
sure,
on TikTok, But we're at 51
sure.
minutes. Is there any other important points you wanted to talk about before we, you know what I mean?
No, it's just if people would like to help support my work, come subscribe to my YouTube channel or my Rumble channel. I'm available on all audio podcasts. You can download my content. Please do pick up my book or books. And just if you want to come to some of my live shows, most of my shows are live Wednesdays and Sundays in the afternoon, and I'd love to have you in the live chat. And I guess that's about it. And everybody, support Typical Skeptic, Rob, my good friend Rob, any way that you can. He's a wonderful person. I love you so much, Rob, and much love out to your audience as well.
Same to you, Karen. And I just want to reiterate, guys, on Karen's new book, let's help her get a good rating on Amazon. Like, she has amazing people that contributed to her book. Like, again, like, a lot of people that you've seen on my show that were on my old channel before it got taken down, like Preston Dennett, who's been you researching UFOs for years, and Dolly Saffron, and Philip and Ronnie Kinsella, the twins, and Jimmy Blanchett. I know he works with Richard Hoagland. So you've got some really like an all-star lineup on there of people that are just like that have amazing, opinions on the Greys. So I can't imagine that's an amazing book. I'm going to get a copy myself, honestly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Karen. Do you want to tell people? Did you? Yeah. Did you? You want to tell people where they can find you and stuff? Did you already? Yeah.
Well, I sort of already did. I'll just quickly add, I have a website, www.KarenHoltonTV. That's Holton. Sorry, did I say TV? It's Karen, www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach healthcoach.com. I'm a different kind of health coach. And on there, you can find a lot of free resources. I also sell signed copies of my books. And also, I have some PDFs on there that I call inspired images, so that if you want to get the images of the grays and be able to download them and use them however you want, there's no copyright on them.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. I might be live later tonight, but I'm not sure yet. So just check for, because YouTube doesn't always send out notifications. And if that happens, it'll be somewhere around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. So, and thank you, Karen, again. And thank you, everybody. And have a good night, everybody. God bless. Take care.